Today I want to talk about finding out if you can determine yourself whether you're an alcoholic or maybe somebody you work with is an alcoholic. And I'll just kind of go through the stuff that I did that, in retrospect is crazy. Normal people, normal drinkers don't do the things that I did and that other alcoholics do. So I drank freely for the first few years in my marriage. My wife, she drank along with, and so we partied and had fun until she became pregnant. And she didn't drink anymore, and I did. And because my drinking had so many consequences to it, and I misbehaved while drinking, she asked me to stop drinking. I take it back. First, she put me on a ration on my allowance. She gave me a specific allowance and so much money every payday so that I could have money to go play with. Well, she restricted that down to the point where I couldn't really continue to buy all the alcohol that I wanted to buy. So I started lying about losing money and other things just to bury my responsibility in drinking all this money away, because I drank a bunch of money away. So what happened then is after she demanded that I stop my drinking, I started buying O'Doul's non-alcoholic beer, and I would drink that because it made me smell a little bit like alcohol, a little bit like booze, and so I could hide bottles. I started to hide bottles of liquor around my house. Now, here's the point. Normal people, they don't hide bottles. They just have them there, like on their bar, and they're untouched, and they don't give a crap because they're there. But alcoholics, we know where the booze is. So to keep her from catching me, I started hiding bottles. I would hide them in the garage. My favorite place to hide a bottle in our house was to get a cereal box of Fiber One cereal that we had, and I would hide the bottle inside that box of cereal because nobody eats Fiber One. My children didn't, she didn't, I didn't. So I could easily hide a bottle inside that cereal box and go to it when I needed to. So hiding liquor, that's not a normal thing. If you're hiding liquor, you probably do have some problem with alcohol. Otherwise, you wouldn't hide the liquor. So if you're doing that, that's a sign. If you find yourself contemplating when I can get to my next drink, you're a firefighter, so your shift, I'm not sure all shifts, but I worked a 24-hour shift. And so I had to go those 24-hour periods without any liquor, which was not to the point of going into seizure or having delirium tremens or something like that, but boy, it was tough. And when I would get off duty from the fire station and get home, I would have drinks when I got home just to kind of stabilize myself in the morning. So that's another thing that normal people do. Normal people don't hide their liquor, and normal people don't lie about the amount of liquor they consume. We develop habits. I would be embarrassed that the trash man would see the amount of vodka bottles I was throwing in the trash, because I just went straight to vodka. I no longer used beer. Beer wasn't good enough. Beer couldn't get me drunk enough. So I switched to hard liquor. I get to the point where I was drinking about a quart, if not more, of vodka on my days off. And I continued to drink like that. Then when I retired, and there was no controls on me anymore, I was divorced and I was retired, I could drink any way I wanted to drink. And so I did. But what would happen is I would have so many bottles in the trash, I was worried that when the trash guy dumped the trash, he'd see all my bottles and he would make some sort of judgment about me that, that I was a drunk. But when your trash can's full of the vodka bottles, you are drunk. So in response to that, I would hide some of the, or not hide, but I would drop liquor bottles off in other locations. If I went to a 7-Eleven or something, I could throw 2-3 bottles in the trash can outside 7-Eleven. If I was at the grocery store, I could do the same thing. I could throw them in the trash on the way into the grocery store. So I was hiding my drinking by hiding my bottles all over the place. Although it really doesn't hide anything. Trust me, if you're an alcoholic and you don't know it yet, all the people around you do know it. They know that you're an alcoholic, or they know at least that you're a heavy drinker and you don't drink like normal people. So if you're experiencing these things, if you're drinking too much, if you're worried about it, because if you're worried about it, generally if you worry that drinking is a problem, it is a problem. You've done something, you've got a DUI, you've got a domestic charge against you, you've gotten a fist fight outside of a bar, you've done something stupid, so you are suffering consequences because of your drinking. So I think one of the best things to do, and this is one of the big hurdles we have to make, I believe, in the fire service, is talking to each other about this crap. If you know a guy is having difficulty, if his life is falling apart, you know he's got a divorce going on or a bankruptcy or something, and they're drinking too much, that's when they need to be able to talk about it. Is talk about it with friends and family, and in the firehouse in particular, with coworkers. There's no shame in talking about it and saying, I feel bad, I'm depressed, I don't have any desire to go to work anymore, I hate being a firefighter, or wish I had never started this job, because you'll hear those sort of things. If you're saying those sort of things, chances are that you're also having a problem with alcohol. You might be having troubles with pain meds. I did. After 31 years of firefighting, I had numerous injuries. I had knees that were reconstructed, and shoulder was rebuilt, and in those processes I was given narcotic painkillers. I was given Vicodin, I was given Percocet, and guess what? Vicodin and Percocet, they have an effect on me that's a lot like drinking. So I really enjoyed getting these painkillers and taking painkillers, and then I didn't take painkillers like they were prescribed anymore. I could throw in 3 or 4 Vicodin and chew them up, because you chew them up because it gets to your brain quicker. And so I would chew them up and then wash them down quickly because they taste like shit. Oh, they're nasty. But if you really want to buzz, you'll chew them up too. So that's what I would do. I would misuse pain meds that I had been prescribed, and I would fake that the pain was continuing on with my orthopedic surgeon so I could get prescriptions for more pain pills and string that out as long as I could. So that's another thing. You can get swallowed up in using pain medications the wrong way as easily as you can with alcohol. I had my first drink of alcohol at 12 years old. My father was essentially not necessarily a bootlegger of alcohol, but he sold copies of decanter bottles from a liquor. It's called Lionstone whiskey, and all of their bottles were characters from the Old West, cowboy and those sort of things. And my dad could import those directly from China, but they never had booze in them, and they didn't have a tax stamp on them. So he would buy cases and cases of these little, like, 6-ounce beverage, alcoholic premixed beverages called club mixers, and he had cases of them underneath the staircase in our basement because he didn't drink, my mother didn't drink, nobody else did. So we could swipe these things, my friends and I, and nobody was the wiser that we were stealing liquor and then going out and drinking it. And I remember the very first time we did it, we're 12-year-olds, so we're looking at these names, we've got daiquiri and Manhattan and Old Fashioned and Martini and a Southern Comfort. All these different names. We didn't know what any of them were, but I knew James Bond drank martinis. So I grabbed a couple of martinis. My buddies, they grabbed a couple of cans. We went into the alley behind my house. Now these things, we had to wipe the dust off the top of the cans. They were been in there so long. And of course they're room temperature, if not higher, because they were in the basement by utility room. And we went out in the alley behind my house and we popped the tops on those babies, and I chugged mine right away, a martini. I chugged it down, and pretty quick got the sensation in AA, we call it the ease and comfort that comes with the first drink, because man, that felt really cool. By the time I was done chugging my can, 2 of my friends that were with me were already vomiting. They rejected it, but not me, man. That stuff stayed down and I enjoyed it, and that led to years of drinking those things and then buying liquor and getting people outside liquor stores. So when I look back, there was a long pattern not only of drinking, but there was some point where I broke over to alcoholism, where I had to have a drink, where I got the shakes so bad that if you handed me a glass of water that was more than half full, I could shake the water out of it. When I went to a rehab center, they were giving me a benzo, they were giving me Valium to help me get through the shakes at the place I went to. And so every hour they would give me a Valium, and they would bring me the pill and a little cup of water, and then they would hold their hands around my hand while I was trying to drink it. Otherwise, I'd shake all the water out and wouldn't have anything to wash down the pill when they gave it to me. The shakes are just terrifying to get to the point of shakes. So one of the things to think about here, if you do think that you got a problem with drinking and it's becoming a problem in your life, then it's recommended that you just take some time off. See if you can go a year without drinking. If you can go a year without drinking, there's a possibility maybe you're not an alcoholic. But if you can put in, a couple of days and you got to drink again, that's a bad thing. That's bad juju when you do that. The first time that I went to an AA meeting, my wife had demanded that I go to an 8A meeting. So I went to the meeting and listened to the whole meeting, and after that I was good. I was bueno. So I went a whole week without having a drink. I proved to myself that I could go a whole week without a drink, and so of course you got to celebrate that accomplishment by drinking. So I immediately was drinking again, and that led to like 2 more years of misery, of drinking, and all the hoops that we jump through and all the crazy shit we do to avoid people thinking we're an alcoholic, when the vast majority of people around us already know we are. So those are the things to watch out for. If you can't go for a long period of time without a drink, that's a bad sign. If you do go a long period of time without a drink and you develop tremors, then odds are you're drinking too much and you might be an alcoholic under those conditions. If you will drink any alcohol, if you get desperate to drink and need some liquor, and you're looking at, you can get your next door neighbor has cream de mint liqueur or something like that, and you talk your neighbor out of that bottle at 10 o'clock at night, odds are that maybe you're an alcoholic. If you don't remember events, if you don't remember the Christmas party, if you don't remember meeting some of your crew out for drinks, and you don't really remember what you did, one of the big giveaways is if you have to call somebody the next morning and say, dude, what did I do last night? That's really scary, because you've now blacked out. You now have a part of your life you don't even remember, but you were still functional. That was the thing for me, was I would drive in blackouts. I would get so drunk and drive in blackouts, and I would get home and go to bed or pass out, whichever came first. And in the morning, wake up in my bedroom and think, wow, how did I get here? The last thing I remember was banging shots and trying to flirt some girl up at the bar, and that just is not normal behavior. So watch out if you're doing that. If it requires more and more alcohol to give you a buzz, that's a bad sign as well. If you used to be able to get drunk on a 6-pack, and now you're going to drink a 12-pack every night, and then you go from drinking a 12-pack to a case, and you go from that to a case and a pint of something else. These are all bad indicators, and trust me, I've done all of them. And if you're behaving this way and you're worried about it, talk to somebody about it. You don't have to go to EAP. If you got a close brother or sister in the station that you could talk to them. You don't necessarily want to dime yourself out to the point that you tell somebody so much that they rat you out, but you can sure have a conversation in the fire station with a coworker and talk about some of the things you're thinking about. Because if suicide's coming up and you're having suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideation, I remember every time I ran on a suicidal patient or a suicide death, I would analyze how they'd done it. I was gathering information about what were the best ways to kill yourself, so you didn't put your family through a bunch of trauma because of it. And that's not normal behavior either. So I'm going to keep recording these things, and I know one of the videos has had almost 3,500 views now in a couple of weeks. So I hope that people that are drinking too much see this. I hope that firefighters that are drinking too much see this. And I hope that firefighters that drink too much and are thinking about suicide need to watch this. If you know a firefighter in trouble, have them watch this stuff. Once again, you can email me with questions at any time. It's Timothy, Timothy, O.KCCASEY @gmail.com. You can email me if you have a question. We'll open up a dialogue. We can text or something along those lines. But I'm more than happy. This is what I want to do. I want to help. I want to help other alcoholics, and in particular my brothers and sisters in blue. I want them to learn that killing yourself isn't the answer, and drinking isn't the answer. You can't maintain that life indefinitely, and something's going to go wrong. So I'll be back another time, and I hope you dig the video. I'll talk to you soon.